Hello, tribe. We are still at Design Week, Nairobi Design Week, that is. And so happy to be coming into this conversation with Silvia, my host here in Kenya, in Nairobi. Habari dada.
Njama?
Asante.
Oh wait, I said it's njema.
Njema means?
Yeah. Njema means good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, okay. So Silvia has curated my travel coming into Nairobi, and she's from Soul Sync Discoveries. And I have had the most wonderful reception here. And together we thought, let's get on camera and talk about travel, curated travel. To formally introduce her, Silvia Njoki is really a multi-hyphenate in all respects. She's a Kenyan online content creator, but we were just speaking about the duality of being able to transcend ourselves into other spaces. Previously, she still, or at least has been doing content creation, but now also an entrepreneur. We'll get into a little bit more about that. She's a seasoned journalist, an inspirational force behind her eponymous brand. She is well versed in the arts. Also studied in Central Saint Martin's in the UK. She's honey. The Nuova Accademia di Belle, Arti, Milano. We are all these women, Silvia. We are every woman.
Yeah.
This is my slogan this year. I'm every woman. And she has honed her skills through art and fashion styling, and you can just see how beautiful she looks. In 2013, she embarked on this blogging journey, initially using it as a creative outlet to chronicle, and I think we're connecting at this point of chronicling because it seems as though you've handed the baton over to me as I'm chronicling Africa's story through this podcast, and a very fashion-centric platform showcasing personal style as well as just within the landscape of social media. Over time, her blog has expanded to encompass interests including beauty, and I think naturally all these spaces are connected, and as well as a strong emphasis on travel. And this is the conversation. This is the doorway entering through this conversation today. So Silvia, we're talking curated travel, and as the founder and owner of Soul Sync Discoveries, please introduce yourself and give us a little bit on why Soul Sync, why the business, and obviously drawing from your background of travel and blogging and journalism.
Yeah. Well, that was a beautiful introduction.
Thank you.
And you've talked about how I morphed from being a fashion blogger to a fashion stylist, and then working with all these beautiful properties, going there, showcasing them as I was showcasing my fashion. And through that, it gave me the exposure in traveling, not only in Kenya, but across the world. And I've always been about giving back. So I started by dressing myself and wanted to dress others. So I started traveling by myself and wanting to travel with other people. So I guess that's how I started my travel company, by wanting to connect people through travel and exploration, hence the name Soul Sync Discoveries. And also I found that as we get older, women, millennial women, it becomes very hard to maintain friendships because, we have children, our career growth. So it was also like an escape for women to come and connect and meet and travel to bucket list destinations across the world.
That is so gorgeous because we were speaking about being women and being the duality of moving in and out of our roles. And I mean, how have you, with traveling the world, it has become more and more complex. And particularly we're in Nairobi today. How have you broached travel? Post-pandemic, it's even more complex. And what are you finding that Soul Sync does differently in terms of curated travel?
Okay, so at Soul Sync Discoveries, not only do we do the group tours that we are popular for, we also do privately curated experiences and travels that, we are having.
That I booked.
Here in Nairobi. So we take you from the beginning to the end, from the consultation to discussing what your wants and needs are, to curating the experience based on the event that you're celebrating. You could be celebrating a certain milestone in your life, or you maybe just want to escape and have a holiday. So we'll take you through all those steps, show you the different property options you have, show you the different experiences that you can have. And I always take people to places that I've been. So I always tell them I went there, so you don't have to worry about what I'm going to talk to you through experience. And even if I'm not doing it and one of my staff is doing it, it's someone who's been to those places. So I feel that what sets us apart is that we sell products that we have consumed and we have experience with. And getting experience in travel, it takes many years. It takes a lot of time and a lot of sacrifice. So that is something that we have that I think sets us apart, that will take you to places that we have already been.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm speaking living in the experience of the first trip you've curated for me, and we're on this journey across the continent because I'm specifically interested in that travel. What have you found is reigniting? I'm sure the pandemic did something, the cabin fever and people just feeling closed up or locked in. What is the wanderlust, and what are you seeing just around travel patterns or travel tastes and preferences? Are people getting out there more? Is there greater interest to venture out?
Yeah, I will say that social media, the digital space, has influenced traveling heavily. There's this thing called Insta tours that people will pay money to go take pictures of these famous Instagram spots. So I will say, it's probably not everyone's way of traveling, but I will say that social media has really paved the way for the travel choices that people are making. Post-pandemic, of course, there was that little bit of a crash where the restrictions were too many. You had to wear a face mask, had to do your COVID test, but it is getting better. I think we're back to normal.
Pre-COVID conditions.
So I think that we can't really feel the effects of COVID, the travel space right now. I think it's gotten better.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I mean, hospitality and travel providers like yourself, increasingly, I was reading up just around the importance to prioritize the human touch. How is it that you manage to do that at SoulSync? And I can share my experience of just having felt the communication been really comforting for me, coming into Kenya for the first time. How is it that you manage to just make sure that you prioritize and elevate the human touch, ensuring just safety and privacy? I think for some of the luxury the tastes of people's travel. Yeah,
I think it's very important. I will say I started traveling when I was young. I was, young enough. I was in my early 20s. And we didn't have much resource online. And I was a female solo traveler across the world. So I know that how scary that can be. And if I had people to guide me and say, you know what, I'm not only giving you directions on what to where to go and where to eat. I'm in your town. So there's that sense of security, even if you're traveling as a solo traveler. And also we do group trips for women. There's that sense of security when you're traveling with a group. That will always be there rather than you traveling solo. So I feel like by having that personal one-on-one contact with someone, a host assigned to you in the various destinations gives you that sense of comfort. And I think it's very, very important in this digital space where everything is communicated to you in this technology and you're getting messages by people who you don't know. Exactly, So it's very important to know someone in the travel space that you're going to.
And what about the curiosity? And I'm particularly in thinking about African consumers here who clearly are more than happy or more than comfortable to board a flight, do the onerous process of getting Schengen visas or US visas or UK visas, whatever it may be. Whereas I know my experience with getting a visa into Kenya was an online submission with confirmation of my travel plans, and I had it in less than 24 hours. So what do you find is the barrier to people not traveling Africa more?
I think, of course, the visas is a big problem. It's a shame that we also have visas within Africa, but of course that's a bigger conversation. I think people have made peace with the fact that they have to get visas to travel to multiple places, especially with the kind of passports that we hold. And that has been involved a lot also with the planning process. Of course, it's a huge challenge. That's the number one challenge. We also have the challenge of flights. Flights across Africa are very expensive. Sometimes it's cheaper for me
Another unfortunate occurrence.
Yeah, it's cheaper for me to fly to Europe than it is maybe to go to somewhere in North Africa, which is a shame. But of course, these are conversations that we still need to keep bringing forward and hoping that something will change at the government level.
Are you finding that there's an appetite for travel within the continent? Because I do sense an awakening. I specifically said the rest of the world can miss me because I'm traveling my own continent this year and going forward. Are you finding that there is an appetite for travel? Because, I mean, we've got such beautiful destinations that the rest of the world is more than happy to come here for.
Definitely, definitely. And, you know, you remember the big return that happened in Ghana a few years ago. And that was, you know, sort of like the boom that came with it. But there's more and more also travel content creators within Africa, and also content creators from abroad who are coming to showcase the gems in Africa and showing people that, you know, you can travel around Kenya and it costs you this much. You can get this amazing stuff in Kenya. You have world-star, 5-star hotels in Kenya. You can send a luxury tent in the Masai Mara. People are getting more aware of what Africa can offer. And I think that in the past, the image people had of Africa was totally different, but that is changing. We're also learning to celebrate ourselves, our culture, our food, and that, you know, owning ourselves and owning our traditions and owning our culture has also made it, you know, attractive to other people, because they're like, okay, I want to go there and see a Maasai wedding. I want to go and have a lunch in a Maasai.
Or the wildebeest migration.
Exactly,
my kids and I were speaking about that. And actually, it's unfortunate that often when you see something attractive for travel into Africa, it is being documented by somebody international, because they will make the effort and they will take the long trips to come and have the safaris and all these other experiences. What are some, you said you plan bucket list trips. What are some of the bucket list, I think in your own travel and particularly with the travel you curate on the continent, that we must check out? Well, let's talk about Africa for now. Only Africa.
I think for now, Africa, Cape Town is big. Your home country, South Africa, Cape Town is big. Namibia as well. Senegal, Ghana. Of course, the gorilla trekking in Uganda and Rwanda. And, you know, that's the only place in the world where you can see them. So I think those are really, really booming, and people are starting to love that. As well in Ethiopia, the indigenous tribes in Ethiopia, that there's also like an interest building around that. So I feel also us owning our culture and what we have and celebrating that is making it more attractive for people abroad.
And what about the soft life travelers, the people who don't want to wake up at 5 and do a safari, however luxurious you peg it. The women maybe, because I do feel like for me, travel is relaxation if I'm not traveling for work or business. And with that relaxation just comes me lying on like a beautiful backdrop or beach, all my needs being tended to. So for maybe the more female traveler or the soft life travelers, if I can put it like that, what are some of the things that are very, you know, whether it's dining or spa experiences across the continent in unique locations that people ought to check out?
I'll talk about the safari you've talked about. You don't want to wake up at 5 o'clock and go on safari. Well, you could consider having a luxury sunset picnic safari somewhere in the middle of the Mara, and you can admire the sunset, having your glass of wine and, you know, spot a few animals. So there's obviously ways to go about experiencing the culture without, you know, taking you out of your comfort. And that's why I love creating curated experiences, because you can keep people in their comfort zone while still allowing them to experience a soft life. So it depends on what people want. Again, there are people who come to Kenya and not be interested on going on safari. So what is it that makes you happy? Do you want to go to restaurant hopping in Nairobi and have the best restaurants that you have
for
in town?
For the foodies, I see that.
So it all depends on what you want and what's your soft life destination. Some people will spend, you know, a whole morning hiking, and once they summit, they're like, yeah, that's my soft life experience.
That is so true, and hiking is on a huge ascent. And I think as we're closing, I am keen to understand, one, what are some of your, you know, when you curate cube travel experiences, how do you make sure you're catering to the diverse tastes? Because I may want to get to Ghana, but the things that are on the itinerary are maybe not all for me. So how do you ensure that you're catering to the diverse group and the tastes? Because it may be people that are not meeting for the first time and haven't traveled together before?
Yeah. So when we are planning our itineraries, we itemize all the activities in different categories and tastes. And these have been done over research where we get the feedback from people on social media. So we get people to voting in with the experiences that they want to do. We talk to locals about hidden gems and try to put everything in there. And that's why sometimes our itineraries may look to be quite hectic. And then also these itineraries, these activities are not all mandatory.
Okay.
You can opt out of some of the activities. Again, if the group trip is not for you, we offer private experiences. And you can travel with your own group of friends and you can curate everything according to your time, your budget, and whatever interests you. Yeah.
And what about somebody looking to do it for the first time? Go from one part of the continent into another. What are some of the tips, practical travel tips, safety tips that you can put forward for us here today?
Okay. I will say, first of all, do your research, your accommodation research. Check the reviews, check where it's located. Make sure you're staying in a safe and secure spot. Let someone know where you are. Always have some sort of identification on you. Try as much as possible to have an emergency number on you. Get a SIM card, be online, make sure you're safe if you choose to travel as a solo traveler. I always say also you can choose to join group excursions. If you feel there'll always be like privately organized group excursions that you can join. And take advice. There'll always be travel advisory tips that you can take online to make sure that you're staying safe and you're in the safe areas, you're doing the right thing and you're in the right places.
And of course, book with Soul Sync to ensure that all of that happens.
Exactly, and we'll guide you through. And we'll always have a host in every country that you visit.
And I must mention that I found you on social media, actually. So to be sitting here with the trip already curated by you is comforting. And my luxury right now would be sleep. What would you say is your ultimate luxury?
Any beach destination, I think. I love being on the beach. Like the sound of the waves in the morning after my coffee, or watching a sunset over the ocean. That to me is my ultimate luxury. And of course, not doing the most. And I love visiting places that are not like major tourist attractions. Those are kind of
tourist traps.
Yeah, I'm not for tourist traps. So yeah, I like going to the places that people
don't untapped, undiscovered.
I love finding beauty in the mundane places people consider. So yeah, that's my luxury.
I love that because I like to travel like a local. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We got this, as is the theme of Nairobi Design Week. Thank you.